Welcome to ILN's Sustaining Success series, where we help individuals achieve success in their life by showcasing people who have been there and done that. Today, we have Sreya Halder, a social media content creator, and she has some super cool content.
So I would describe myself as a content creator and entrepreneur who loves fashion, art, and technology. And I'm also a college student, so I kind of make content surrounding all of those things.
Awesome. So, what would you say is kind of your favorite piece of content that you've made?
Generally speaking, my favorite piece of content that I've made has probably been a lot of my videos on TikTok surrounding this app that I made like a year ago. It was really fun to do because it combined a lot of my interests. So outside of content creation, I was working a lot on just developing it, and then I got to kind of share it with people, and I got a lot of great feedback, and I think that helped kind of boost my, I don't know, like presence as a fashion content creator.
Cool. So, how did you feel when you first started posting on Instagram or TikTok?
Yeah, I think it depends on the timeline. I've had quite an interesting journey with social media. I started posting on Instagram on my art account in like 2013, so a really long time ago. And I wasn't really expecting anything to come out of it. So I originally came on social media to do art. And then I posted more like fashion and lifestyle content on my main Instagram. And then I also made that transition on TikTok around like 2020. And that was when the pandemic started. So it was something that I was just kind of doing in the free time, or in my free time. Because, I was at home and had nothing better to do. And I liked it a lot because I think it was a different way of me expressing my creativity than, just doing art or, like doing a lot of the technical stuff that I do at school.
You used any type of strategy to build your following, or you just kind of posted whatever you wanted?
I was lucky when I first kind of went viral, and then I used that same strategy over and over again because I've realized that it's a lot of just like testing things out and seeing what works. And so that, I think it was a different time for social media 3 years ago. But videos were a lot shorter, and I just kind of had to like grab people's attention. And since I was doing art, I think there was like a very specific way of doing that. And then I kind of transitioned into brand partnerships. But yeah, so the strategy is to kind of just like grab people's attention. It's all about marketing at the end of the day, but still being able to share something that I care about.
Whenever you did get your following and you're like, okay, this is it. Is it something that you do full time, or is it just something you do part time?
Yeah, I would say now it's something that I do part-time because it's something that I really enjoy. So I want to make sure that I keep it as a hobby. And I think it's a little bit dangerous when hobbies turn into your full-time job, because then you actually do get burned out and you don't enjoy it as much. And I think whenever I start doing content creation almost like every single day, even though I'm getting a lot of returns, I, end up in some sort of rut and like art block. That's very common for artists, but when you're doing content creation, it's still a form of art, so it feels that way too. And so yeah, doing it part-time has been fun because I know I can kind of take a break whenever I need to and then come back to it, do partnerships when they like kind of come to me, and then make my own content on the side. And so it lets me kind of blend it into my lifestyle without having to think about it all the time.
We hear a lot about like the batch content creation side of things. Is that something that you impose, or do you just create whenever?
I have tried doing batch content creation. I think it's effective, especially when I'm doing series content. So for example, I recently did a series on cleaning out my closet. And so if I wanted to just film for a few hours of like different categories of clothing, then edit them all later, and then release them, I guess, like over the course of the week, that would be effective because I can kind of do it all at the same time. But if I'm like traveling or doing something that doesn't require me just like sitting in front of my closet for like 4 hours, then I find it easier to just record things as I go and then compile them all later with like a voiceover or something.
How do you stay on top of your goals and your ideas?
That has been a tricky one. I mean, I would say that I have a certain mindset when it comes to pursuing my goals and ideas. obviously whenever I have an idea, it's important for me to like write it down and kind of brainstorm like, okay, what is like a good way to present this idea, especially if it's different than what I've been doing. I think that that's kind of tricky with social media, is that a lot of people in your following really admire you for the thing that they followed you for. But if you want to do something different, then it's kind of a shift for your entire audience. And so there's like a specific way to transition things. And, I like to make that transition as smooth as possible. So that's definitely part of the way that I approach my goals and ideas. And then I like to see goals as things that are just experiments, because nothing is ever guaranteed. So if I have a goal of like reaching a certain number of followers and I need to kind of like break down, okay, how do I get there? Then there's no like real clear path because of just how, I don't know, like up in the air the algorithm can be sometimes. And so, yeah, I like to experiment. Like I try something. If it doesn't work, then, I'll try something else.
So we hear a lot too, speaking of algorithm, about algorithm hacks. Do you have any hacks that you use to try and get by the algorithm?
No, I think this goes back to what I was saying about strategy before. One of the most important things is definitely to keep things fast paced, especially at the beginning. So a lot of my videos that have gone viral, like within the first 5 seconds, I introduce what I'm doing, and then I provide like shorter clips so that they're really quick and things are constantly changing on the screen, and then like include some graphics so that people are like, oh, this is not like a typical video. There is a hook, and then there's going to be like the content that comes after that. And then when I always caption my videos because I usually do voiceovers, and I like to talk very fast, and then my captions kind of like roll across the screen very fast, and then that's another way to grab people's attention. But yeah, I think like that's kind of the primary way that I try to get past the algorithm. And obviously, like, it might hit or miss. It really just depends on the content too, but I think that's like a safe bet most of the time.
And then speaking back about the goals, do you have any of your end of year goals or anything that you would like to accomplish?
Yes, I definitely do. They are somewhat related to content creation because I basically, the app idea that I told you about, I want to turn it into a startup and kind of scale it so that it is a larger product that a lot of my followers would use. And I think that my platform is a great way to kind of like let that like build a good user base and following and get feedback from people. And so I think I want to like return to the app and continue building it and integrate a lot of my content in a really fun way for people who might use this app. And so I'm going to be working on that actually like for the rest of the year. And so I'm hoping that by the end of the year, there's a significant amount of interest and I can really interact with my followers about what they want.
So on this journey, have you ever experienced like any weaknesses that you had to overcome? And if so, like what was that?
I mean, I think it comes back to a lot of the points that I made about how content is constantly creating, but interacting with your audience is like a different strategy on its own. So if I want to change up something that I'm doing and go into a different niche or start a new series, then it's going to be a hit or miss. And I think I recognize that as soon as I go into it.
So do you have maybe one piece of advice you'd give others who look up to be something or to do something like you're doing?
I've thought about this a lot recently, but I would say to do the thing that you've always wanted to do. I don't think there's ever a right time. And I realized that there have been a lot of moments in my life where I felt a lot of adrenaline and momentum about something that I'm doing. For example, a video going viral. And that feeling that I get in that moment is something that I think deserves to be chased. And I know that a lot of people feel that, but it's something that you should actively pursue. It's like your body telling you that this is what the future is going to look like if you pursue this feeling, like exactly what you're doing that causes that feeling. And so I say chase it. Don't care what other people think because nothing matters and we're only here for a short time. And so if you do something stupid one day, then the next day, like nobody's going to care. And just do it until you're satisfied and then do something else. I don't think there's even a right way to commit to something. But yeah, I would say just, do what you've always wanted to do.
I know that you've taken a look at the ILN app. What would you say is your favorite feature of our app?
progress bar for tasks. I'm a visual person, so I like to see like visually how much work I have left. And it's like kind of relieving to watch that bar go up as you kind of like do tasks that you need to do. And on like other apps, I've tried to like figure out a way to do it like manually sometimes, or like just like on like Excel or something, and it's never like super easy to do. And so I think that's just like something I've always wanted in like a productivity app.
Anyone wants to maybe get in touch with you for a brand partnership or maybe just for some advice, how could they reach you?
Yeah, no, I have, well, my Instagram, my DMs are open. My Instagram is at Sreya Halder, so it's just my name. And then I also have an email, and that will get in contact with my management group, and they handle all my brand partnerships. And so that would be Sreya at theviralistgroup.com. But yeah, if anybody has any like personal questions or inquiries, like definitely just DM me. Like I'm always happy to talk.